Sattler 5.
And in business, the stock market fell through the floor today.
The stock market report.
It's hard to know where
The stock market went through the roof today. No one seems to have predicted this.
With Kevin Johnson.
And Kevin Johnson is the veteran stockbroker from Argonaut Securities. He joins the Sattler Files now for an extended look at the share market. A lot of things have been happening. And when I call you a veteran, that is definitely a compliment, because you've been around for all of it. You were around in 1987 for the crash, the iron ore and gold booms, global financial crisis, and now
September 11, you name it. Tech wreck.
You were there. But have you ever known a situation where the Australian financial scene has seemed so uncertain? Is it the federal election? What's going on?
Well, exactly. I mean, the market doesn't know at the moment. And the one thing stock markets don't like is uncertainty. And they have that in spades at the moment, whether that be in the UK or in Australia. And it's not clear. And as a result of that, markets are a little bit cautious. I think you've got to be careful not to get too caught up in the sensational headlines. I think there's a lot of overreaction there by some of the media trying to make a story out of something.
Well, they're having trouble making a story out of the election, so they've got to turn their focus on something else. The election's getting quite boring.
And I prefer to deal in certainty. And until we know the actual election result, frankly, it's all a question of counting up some green bits of paper and arriving at a number, and they will do that within the next few days. And although we're the now generation, want everything at our fingertips at every minute, we just have to take a deep breath and wait till we know the actual numbers. And there will be some actual numbers sometime in the next few days.
That's right. Now, what about today's news about the ratings agency Standard & Poor's? Now, they're flagging a downgrade in our credit rating. Is that going to spook the markets even more?
No, I don't think so, because our credit rating is still a very high one. We're not taking on extra debt at the moment. Had the Labor government maybe got in, maybe they would have done it a lot faster than that, because they had a much bigger spending program. A lot of the policies that are talked about aren't law yet. They haven't been passed or unlikely to be passed. Frankly, I see a period of stability because no one's going to be able to do anything.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true. What about the warning Shadow Federal Treasurer Chris Bowen has called? He's called on the PM, Malcolm Turnbull, if he gets re-elected, to break that election promise about dropping the corporate tax rate.
One thing's for sure, election promises always do get broken.
Yeah.
And secondly, I don't think you can believe anything coming out of the Shadow Treasurer or the Leader of the Opposition at the moment, because it's all self-serving. I think we just wait for the result, see who is running the country. It's certainly not going to be them, and they'll make up their own minds. But the credit rating issue and the debt, you've got to remember, interest rates are as low as they've ever been anywhere in the world at the moment. So it's not a big impost or a big cost if these things change at the moment. So I think, like I said, there's a lot of noise at the moment. Got to cut through the noise, look at the situation Australia's in. Our currency is quite low, so it's boosting our export industries at the moment. We've got one of the best and most stable banking systems in the world. They're the things I think we need to focus on and work out how we can improve this country and not worrying about it.
Okay. I mean, the community are a little bit behind Labor when it comes to, again, another election policy, and that is to hold a royal commission into Australian banks. What's that going to do? What sort of effect is that going to have?
Well, that can only alarm people and can't do any good whatsoever that I can see. I mean, the beautiful thing about the Australian economy is we do have a very strong banking sector. It's heavily regulated by APRA and the government and the ACCC. It's a very strong financial system. We all rely on it, both from our housing loan sector and our day-to-day business. And there's 4 banks actively competing with each other. Sure, from time to time there's bad elements in every organisation that cause a few issues. But, they admit it. They stand up, they change the management, they pay the fines that need to be fined and move forward.
That's you, Kevin Johnson, ever the optimist. Now, what sectors do you think are going to lead investors out of the wilderness?
Well, the Australian economy has always been very strong in the resources sector. We obviously had a very good run a few years back with the iron ore price, and then they tried to stop that by imposing punitive taxes on it. We fortunately sailed out of that by dropping the iron ore price going down, and that was the end of that. But the gold sector is providing a very welcome relief for the mining sector at the moment. There's some good signs happening back into the nickel sector, which has been in contraction for a while. there's some good growing sectors in the resources sector, I think, that are coming. The agricultural sector is still strong overseas demands for our products. So I think they're the areas that it's going to come from in the short term.
And what advice would you give to your investors at this time?
I think it's very important to ignore the noise and focus on the facts. And the focus on the fact there's some very strong, profitable countries, very well-run companies in our stock market. If you're in one of those, then you can be comfortable with it. I'm seeing a lot of rising investor interest in the market as a result of low interest rates everywhere, and I feel comfortable about that as well. So I think the main thing is just to ignore the noise and focus on the facts, and I think we can ride out of this very easily.
I think that's a good idea too. Any specific stocks that you should be following, or we should be following?
No, well, it's difficult at the moment because there is a little bit of uncertainty around, so I'm a bit loath to put the finger on the pulse of those sort of things. I'll just stick to the original blue chips. So I was very confident to read the Rio Tinto's outlook the other day, where they're heading with the new manager and what they're trying to achieve. So as far as blue chips go, that's probably my preferred one at the moment. And I like the banks. I do like National Bank and Commonwealth Bank as my preferred bank.
So basically what you're telling me is relax, calm down, don't jump, don't do anything
Correct.
silly.
Exactly. Ignore the noise, focus on the facts, and the facts is we should have a government hopefully in the next week or so. It'll be the same one we had before. They'll be in a position where they're not going to be able to do anything, so nothing's going to change, and then we can get on with our lives. And frankly, part of the problems we have in business in Australia is that they always keep talking about flying kites as things that might change, which stop people doing things. So if we have a period of where we know nothing's going to change, the economy might be able to put some growth into it.
Yep,
it's got the right environment to it. It's got right interest rates are low, so there's a lot of opportunity from now on.
Now, anyone wanting financial advice from Argonaut Securities, how do they get in touch with you, Kevin?
They can contact any of our dealers on 9224 6888.
Sounds good to me. We'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
Will do. Thanks, Despein. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And in business, the stock market fell through the floor today.
The stock market report
The stock went through the roof today. No one seems to have predicted this.
with Kevin Johnson. This is the Sattler 5.